I'm 6'7". Some of the lads will slag me saying that I'm 6'5", but I get very protective then about my height.
Only in rugby do people get slagged for being 6'5" as being slightly short.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I want a softball intro to you first of all, because James is obviously one of those common names, but it can be shortened. It's got lots of kind of derivatives. You've got James, Jimmy, Jay, Jamesy. Do you allow any of those? Or are you just a solid James to everyone you know?
No, to be honest, very few people would call me James. Maybe my mum. No, but yeah, I have a few nicknames. All right.
Go on.
J.O.R. is one. J.O.R. is one.
Retro.
Yeah. Cheese is another one.
Cheese.
Cheese, yeah, an interesting one, but
because you eat I hope it's because you eat a lot of cheese and for no other reason.
No. It's from a movie. So anyway, one of the lads called me Cheese one day, and it kind of stuck. And then Joe Schmidt actually was the first. You know, we had a John Ryan at the time when we were touring. Not at the time, we still do, but we were touring the USA and Japan, and it was my first time I'd been with the national squad, and because we had John Ryan, we already had a JR, so he was looking for a nickname, and one of the lads said, "Why don't you call him Cheese?" And as soon as he started calling me Cheese, then it stuck. So the rest is history, Oliver.
So you're Cheese to everyone.
Well, to a lot of people, Cheese in Ireland camp especially. Cheese or JR, yeah. So.
Does that mean you've got a different nickname in the Leinster camp?
No, it'd be pretty similar. But yeah, look, there's a lot more worse nicknames out there. To be honest, I won't go into. So it's actually it's not too bad.
Are there worse nicknames in your dressing room?
One of the lads is called Badger, which probably is a bit worse. Yeah, there's some interesting ones, all right.
You're just thinking of ones you can broadcast now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I actually should check it because Wikipedia said 6'8", but I read in a newspaper 6'7". So can you put that one to rest?
Yeah, 6'7".
Oh, modesty! You didn't even steal the extra inch.
No, I'm 6'7". Some of the lads will slag me saying that I'm 6'5", but I get very protective then about my height.
Only in rugby do people get slagged for being 6'5" as being slightly short.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cian Healy's a man for that. He's always winding me up saying I'm 6'4" or 6'5". But 6'7", that's correct, yeah. So tall, but you know, there's a few guys that are taller than me. Devin Toner, obviously, notably 6'10" or 6'11". I think the jury's still out in that one as well. So yeah, I'm in good company.
Seems like a strange thing that can be kind of factual myths around someone's height. The incredible story. Tell us about your great grandfather.
So, I mean, he was in a family that were very active during Easter 1916, and then subsequently the War of Independence. I've obviously spoken about him before, but I mean, no less than 5 of the family members were very active in Republican activities. You know, a number of sisters that were important members of Cumann na mBan, and
yeah,
you know, he was obviously very active in Easter 1916, and you know, he was in the fighting unit, but he was told to report to the GPO as opposed to where his own volunteer unit were, which I think they were stationed in North King Street. And when he got there, you know, he was told that he was chief medical officer because none of the medical personnel had turned up, and he was still only a medical student at the time. You know, he would have treated the wounded, including, you know, obviously people like Porg Pierce and James Connolly, and so yeah, I mean, you know, they were obviously a family with quite a rebellious spirit, I suppose.
Quite an amazing, and of course you bear his name, we might say, Dr. James Ryan, as he became a student. But incredible to be an eyewitness of such a seminal moment in Irish history, to be in the GPO treating James Connolly, and I mean his subsequent career, member of the first Dáil, a founder member of the volunteers, founder member of Fianna Fáil, and he goes on to be a Minister for Finance, Health, Agriculture and Social Welfare. 42-year political career. That was obviously something that was kind of big in the family and was kind of fascinated you a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, particularly when I was kind of growing up, it was kind of family folklore, family history, and these stories around him and around his sisters and his brother and his kind of family really is kind of what sparked my own interest in history. From a young age. So yeah, I mean, I love learning about history. I love learning about Irish Revolutionary history. Yeah, it's always been pretty cool for me to kind of have a little connection to that whole period.
Are you still studying politics and history in UCD, or is that?
I am. Yeah.
Still okay. And what's that experience like at the moment, on top of everything else you have to do?
To be honest, it suits me better the last 6 months than it ever has, because all of the work now in universities is being done in isolation. So, lectures are held online, and all of the coursework and assignments are essays, as opposed to, that you can submit electronically, as opposed to kind of physical exams. So, I suppose being away from home, particularly around national periods, so much, where I wouldn't have been able to get into college, it suits me much better at the moment, actually, which is great.
Yeah,
it's the one silver lining in the moment. So.
Okay, you'll take what you can get, as you. So you must be quite political, and you must have strong views on how the country is run and how the world is run.
Look, I have an interest in politics, definitely, yeah, but probably an even bigger interest in history. But yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating time, I think, at the moment with everything going on. The last few years, from Donald Trump to the pandemic to to everything else. It's a kind of a crazy time we're living in. So yeah, it's cool to kind of be studying the topic at the moment with everything that's going on.
Is politics a hot topic in the dressing rooms?
I wouldn't say a massive topic, to be honest. But there are some guys that would have an interest, yeah. But most of the conversations, I suppose, are around sport and family and just general crack. Probably kind of trying to get away from the craziness that's going on at the moment when you're in there.
Something that may also be controversial, but it's something I've always interested. You're a Michael's boy. Pretty proud of that, obviously, which to anyone uninitiated is a posh school in Donnybrook. Let's call it what it is. But I actually noticed you're around the same age as Paul Howard's creation, Russell Carroll Kelly. Is that a universe does it look familiar to you? Is it a ridiculous caricature? Is that a world you recognise as similar to your own?
It's not a world I recognise as similar to my own. Anyway, I think it's a bit of a ridiculous caricature. Look, it's funny and everything, yeah. But I mean, obviously, I don't see much of it, but probably a lot of it's pretty exaggerated, as it would be for comedy purposes. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say, to be honest.
I mean, some people of that universe are kind of proud of it, and they kind of play up almost to the daftness of it, don't they?
No, I wouldn't be playing up to that now. I don't know what you'd be doing playing up to that.
What I'm interested in is that this question actually turned out to be much more controversial than asking about your political views, which maybe tells us something. I mean, how do you pronounce the word RIGHT, for instance?
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of the caricature is, I think, Roish, but I don't think anyone speaks like that, really, do they?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Well, there will be some people, all right, but
It doesn't mean there are some people who have played up to what it is.